It was a dark and stormy night. I was walking my dog Max along the usual route we took every evening. He was a friendly and loyal golden retriever, always wagging his tail and sniffing everything in sight. Everyone loved Max because, no matter how bad of a day you were having, Max would make your day better. We were almost home when I heard a loud thud behind me. I turned around and saw a large black van speeding away. I started to run, telling Max to run with me. He was close enough so I wasn't worried, but the van was getting closer to me. I almost fell and had to slow down a bit, but when I turned around, Max was nowhere to be seen. The van sped past me, causing me to fall to the ground, leaving dust in my face. I heard the tires screeching as it bent the curve. I wasn't going to allow them to take Max just like that. I got up from the ground, I panicked and ran after the van, shouting for Max, Max, Max. I didn't care about the rain or the lightning, I only cared about my dog. There was no way I was going to stop running. Here I was tired and soaking wet, but knowing that they had Max kept me going. I followed the van until it turned into a narrow alley. I ran into the alley hoping to catch up with the kidnappers, but when I got there, the van was gone. There was only a dead end and a pile of garbage. I searched the garbage, hoping to find a clue or a sign of Max. I found nothing but rotten food and broken glass. I felt a surge of anger and despair. Who would do such a thing? Why would they take my dog? What did they want with him? I felt like I had failed him. He was my best friend, and I couldn't protect him. Max would have protected me. He would not have given up on me so easily, but what am I supposed to do? I didn't know where to go or look or who to even call. I was defeated. I was about to give up and go back home when I heard a faint whimper. It sounded like Max. I followed the sound, hoping it was him. I reached the end of the alley, where there was a small metal door. It was locked, but I saw a window above it. I climbed on a dumpster and looked through the window. I saw Max, tied to a table, surrounded by wires and machines. He looked terrified and in pain. He saw me and whimpered louder. I felt a surge of relief and horror. He was alive, but what were they doing to him? I smashed the window with my fist and crawled inside. I ran to Max and untied him. He licked my face and wagged his tail. I hugged him and told him everything was going to be okay. I looked around and saw a computer screen with a message. Experiment 42. Neural interface with canine subject. Status in progress. I realized they were trying to connect Max's brain to a computer. I wondered why and what they wanted to achieve. I didn't have time to think. I grabbed Max and ran to the door. I tried to open it, but it was still locked. I heard footsteps and voices outside. They were coming back. I looked for another way out. I saw a vent on the ceiling. I lifted Max and pushed him inside. He crawled through the vent. I followed him. We made our way to the roof. We saw the van parked on the street. We jumped on the van and broke the windshield. We got inside and started the engine. We drove away, leaving the kidnappers behind. We made it home, safe and sound. I called the police and told them everything. They said they would investigate and catch the culprits. I thanked them and hung up. I looked at Max and smiled. He was my hero. He had survived a nightmare. He was still the same friendly and loyal dog I loved. We cuddled on the couch and watched a movie. We were happy. We were together.
It was a cold and dark night. I had just finished my workout at the gym and was about to leave. As I walked towards the exit, I noticed that the lights were flickering and the music was playing backwards. I felt a chill run down my spine. Something was wrong. I looked around and saw that I was the only one left. The gym staff had disappeared. Why did I decide to stay so late? I wondered if they had locked the door behind them. I decided to check. I reached for the handle and turned it. It was unlocked. I breathed a sigh of relief. I opened the door and stepped outside. That's when I heard it. A loud and terrifying scream. It came from inside the gym. I froze in fear. What was that? Who was that? Should I go back and see? Or should I run away as fast as I can? I was torn between curiosity and fear. I wanted to know what was going on inside the gym, but I also wanted to get away from the danger. I decided to take a peek. I closed the door behind me and walked back into the gym. Stupid of me? Yes, I know. I should have just left, but I couldn't. My conscience would kill me. I followed the sound of the scream. It came from the locker room. I approached the door and opened it slowly. I peeked inside and saw a horrifying sight. There was blood everywhere. On the floor, on the walls, on the lockers. And in the middle of it all, there was a body. It was the gym manager. He was lying on his back, his eyes wide open, his mouth twisted in a silent scream. His chest was ripped open and his heart was missing. I felt sick. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to scream. But I couldn't. I was too shocked. I stared at the body, unable to look away. Then I heard a noise. A low growl. It came from behind me. I turned around and saw something that made me wish I was dead. It was a creature. A monster. It looked like a wolf, but bigger. Much bigger. It had black fur, red eyes, and sharp teeth. It was holding something in its mouth. It was the manager's heart. It dropped the heart on the floor and licked its lips. It looked at me and smiled. A wicked smile. It spoke to me. In a human voice. It said, "Hello there. I've been expecting you." I was paralyzed with fear. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't think. I just stared at the creature, hoping it was a nightmare. But it wasn't. It was real. And it was hungry. It moved closer to me, slowly and deliberately. It wanted to savor the moment. It wanted to play with me. It wanted to make me suffer. It reached me and sniffed me. It smelled my fear. It smiled again. It said, "You're the last one. The last one on my list. The last one I need to complete my ritual. The last one I need to become human again." I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't care. I just wanted to live. I tried to scream. I tried to run. I tried to fight. But it was too late. It was too strong. It grabbed me by the neck and lifted me up. It looked into my eyes and said, "Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your soul." It opened its mouth and bit into my chest. I felt a sharp pain. I felt a warm blood. I felt a cold darkness. I felt nothing. Then I woke up panting and breathing heavily. Thank God it was just really a nightmare.
I had heard rumors about the Bakers, but I needed the money. They lived in a huge mansion on the hill, surrounded by a high fence and a thick forest. They had a reputation for being eccentric and secretive, and their children were rarely seen outside. They called me one night and asked me to babysit their 2 kids, a boy and a girl, aged 10 and 8. They said they had an urgent business meeting and they would pay me well. I agreed, thinking it would be an easy job. I arrived at their house in a cab around 8 p.m. The Bakers greeted me at the door, looking nervous and anxious. They introduced me to their kids, who were sitting on the couch, watching TV. They seemed quiet and shy, and barely looked at me. The Bakers gave me a quick tour of the house, showing me where the kitchen, the bathroom, and the kids' bedrooms were. They told me not to go into any other rooms, especially the basement. They said it was off-limits and dangerous. They also told me not to answer the phone or the door, and to call them only in case of emergency. They gave me their number and left in a hurry. I tried to make conversation with the kids, but they were not very talkative. They said they wanted to watch TV, so I let them. I sat on the couch with them, feeling bored and uneasy. The house was dark and silent, except for the sound of the TV and the occasional thunder outside. Around 9 p.m., the phone rang. I ignored it, remembering the Baker's instructions. The phone rang again and again and again. I wondered who was calling and why they were so persistent. I decided to check the caller ID just in case it was the Bakers. I picked up the phone and looked at the screen. It said, "Unknown caller." I put the phone back, feeling a chill down my spine. The phone rang once more and then stopped. I breathed a sigh of relief, hoping that whoever it was had given up. I turned to the kids and saw that they were staring at me with wide eyes. They looked scared and pale. "What's wrong?" I asked them. "Did you answer the phone?" the boy asked. "No, I didn't. Why?" "You should never answer the phone here. It's him. He always calls before he comes." "Who? Who always calls?" The man who lives in the basement. He's the reason we're not allowed to go down there. He's the reason our parents left. He's the reason we're afraid. I felt a surge of fear and confusion. What were they talking about? Who was the man in the basement? What did he want? Listen, kids, I don't know what you're talking about, but there's no one in the basement. Your parents told me it was off limits and dangerous, that's all. There's nothing to be afraid of. It was probably just a prank call or a wrong number. Don't worry, everything is fine. I tried to sound calm and reassuring, but I could hear the tremor in my voice. The kids didn't look convinced. They looked terrified. Please, can we go to our rooms? We don't want to stay here. We don't want to watch TV anymore. We don't want to wait for him. Wait for who? The man who lives in the basement. He always comes after he calls. He always comes for us. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should believe them or if they were playing a sick joke on me. I didn't know if I should call the Bakers or the police or anyone. I didn't know what was going on. Okay, calm down. Let's go to your rooms. Maybe you'll feel better there. Come on, follow me. I got up from the couch and took the kids by the hand. I led them upstairs, to their bedrooms. I tucked them in their beds and told them to stay there until I came back. I said I would check on them in a few minutes and that everything would be okay. I closed their doors and walked back to the stairs. I was about to go down when I heard a loud bang from below. It sounded like someone had slammed the door. The door to the basement. I froze, feeling a wave of panic. I ran to the kids' rooms and opened their doors. I saw that they were gone. Their beds were empty and their windows were open. I looked outside and saw two small figures running across the lawn, towards the gate. I realized that they had escaped. They had left me alone in the house, with the man who lives in the basement. I felt a cold hand grab my shoulder. I turned around and saw a man standing behind me. He was wearing a black hooded cloak and a mask. He had a knife in one hand and a bloody sack in the other. He smiled wickedly and said, "Hello, I'm Mr. Baker, and those are my children." I screamed as loud as I could and ran out the room and down the stairs. I grabbed my bag, and as I was about to open the door, I heard the phone ringing again. I looked in the direction of the phone and noticed that the man was going to pick it up. "Who are you?" I asked. "You better run, my wife is coming," he said. I did not give it a second thought. I opened the door and ran out of the house and down the hill as fast as I could, not even looking back at all. I kept running until I reached the main road and got into a cab. When I got home, I deleted the Baker's number and made a vow to never visit that house again.